Good evening. All right, yeah, we got people coming in. Good evening. Thank y'all for joining on this good Wednesday evening. See, I'll give everybody 1 or 2 more minutes to get logged in. Let me turn my phone on. My ringer off. Excuse me. Let me get my slides together. How's everybody doing this evening?
Okay.
Mm, Coming in. Let's see. Oh no, did I press the wrong button?
No, do you have the phone?
No. Spring break, y'all. Excuse me.
That's bad.
All right, all right. Already started the recording, so we are going to get ready to jump in. Welcome, welcome. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. My name is Chris Britt. I am a licensed realtor here in Central Virginia. Um, and I do this on the first Wednesday of every month. We do a virtual home buying class. So we'll just go over the process, kind of what to expect, how to prepare, all of those things. If you have any questions, let me know. It gets a little hard to do this screen in the chat too, so feel free to come off mute. We can interact here. Definitely, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And let me see. Let me share my screen. There we go. Oh no, it always hold on, y'all, because it's not gonna let me expand it when I do it like that. And you would think I would have this screen share thing down packed by now since we, because what month is this? June, so this is number 6 this year. Let me see. Oh, that's what I want. I want desktop. This one, expand. All right, cool. Everybody can see my screen now?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So, again, we're just here to talk about home ownership, getting started. Welcome to a class designed to turn your home ownership dreams into reality. Whether you're a first time buyer, transitioning from renting, rebuilding your credit, moving up, you are in the right place tonight. We're going to walk through everything you need to know. Real talk is a no judgment zone. Like I said, if you have a question, ask your question. No dumb question. No question is a dumb question except for the one you don't ask. Okay. Um, I am again a licensed realtor. I am an investor. I do believe in the power of real estate in terms of using it just to build wealth and generational wealth. I hope to have at least one property to leave to each of my kids. So, I don't know what y'all goals are, but I'm looking to build a legacy here at some point. I am a Virginia notary, so if you ever need anything notarized, my office is at the corner of Broad and Glenside over there by Navy Federal, where Fridays used to be. Okay. Um, Y'all can come by my office anytime. I'll do free notary for you. Just let me know you're coming because obviously sometimes I'm out in the field showing houses, so I'm in and out. But if you let me know you're coming, I'm always happy to help. Okay. And without further ado, we're gonna jump in. So the first things first, we gotta get pre-approved. So let's talk about what we're looking for, what it takes. Everyone wants to know credit score, credit score, credit score. So here's the answer to that question. We can start at a 580 credit score. 580 to 620 is going to be a FHA program, We'll go a little bit more over that in detail. In order to get the grant programs, you need at least a 620. Some of the programs require a 640 credit score. And then once you get to that 680 credit score, you can typically qualify for conventional loans. Just because it's conventional, this still does not mean you have to put 20% down. Let me start there. We do have some conventional loans that are just 3% down. If you are below a 580, there are special programs for you, but I'll be honest with you, it is most likely going to be in your better interest to work on your credit and build it up because those programs are going to have higher interest rate and are going to cost you more money in the long run. It is considered a more risky loan, so you can expect to pay more with that. Credit is just one piece of the puzzle that we look at. We're looking for a full picture. So, payment history, you can have one late period in a 1 late payment in a 12-month rolling period. So, today is June 3rd. So, if I had a late payment in July of last year, I'm good. If I had one in July and August, I have to wait for one of them to fall off. So we can do one late payment. Credit utilization doesn't have to be perfect. We're typically looking for less than 30%. So that's usually the number. You don't have to pay everything down to zero. We'll calculate your debt to income and let you know what you qualify for. Just looking for recent positive patterns, not opening a lot of new lines of credit, and just not overextending credit, things like that. And we're all human. We all make mistakes. We've all had things. So the ability to explain past issues. So for example, like if you have medical bills, something like that, we usually do what we call a letter of explanation. With that letter of explanation, or just say, hey, these are medical bills. I was sick. I was out of work. I'm back working. I'm paying my bills on time. Basically, I'm sorry and I won't do it again. Okay, that's that's basically what we're gonna put in the letter. So we can work with you to get those done as needed. Underwriting typically lets us know what we need on those things. And just know, collections do not automatically disqualify you. Hold on, let me make this smaller. All right, collections do not automatically disqualify you. They do have to be closed. So they can be on your report. In some cases, we can get them paid at closing, but that sometimes will not give you the best loan option. So everyone's situation is different. We will work with you on it. Of course, charge-offs, all of those things happen. So the biggest thing is to get with a loan officer. They will look at your picture and let you know whether you qualify or what you need to do. All right. Moving. Okay. Moving right along. If you do have credit challenges, again, we'll help you go through that. So we'll review your credit report with you. You do have to put in an application to do that. Any inaccuracies will help you dispute them. We can give you letter templates and things like that. Now, full disclosure, we are not going to write and mail the letters for you. I do have credit repair companies that I can refer you to if you want someone to actually write the letters for you. But my loan partners typically work with you to, come up with the letters, and it's your responsibility to mail them. But again, it's a teamwork. Everybody's experience is different, so you let us know what you're looking for so that we can, better cater to you. And then strategic pay downs, like I said, everything does not have to be paid off. Student loans, everybody has those car payments, all of those things. So we will work with you on what needs to be paid down, and let you know how to best move forward. And then, of course, just on-time payment, low utilization. That's mainly what they're looking for. Credit repair typically takes about 3 to 6 months. Some people see improvement in as little as 30 to 60 days. It just depends on what you have on your credit that needs to be cleaned up. So, any questions on the credit aspect of things? All right, moving right along. So we have to get your pre-approval letter. That's what we're working towards. If you go on to Rocket Mortgage and you type in some letters, they will give you a pre-qualification letter. They have not verified your employment or anything like that. So we do not take a pre-qualification letter as serious. What we are looking for is a pre-approval letter. That means that they have verified your income, your assets, your credit. They have calculated your debt to income ratio. They know how much you can afford on a monthly basis, and you are more likely to make it to the closing table when you have a pre approval letter versus a pre qualification letter. What you would need in order to get that pre approval letter, you would need 2 years of tax returns and 2 years of W 2s. Is anybody on here self employed? All right, so everybody, hold on, you were coming off mute.
No, I'm self-employed.
Okay, thank you for speaking up. Appreciate you. So just know if you are self employed, you have to have 2 years of tax returns for your business. So everyone's situation is different. Do you have you filed your business for the last couple of years?
So I just filed my LLC September 2020, yeah, 2026 already, 2025. So I would use like my LLC and my EIN number.
Right. So any income that you made from your business in 2025, you would have filed it on your taxes this year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did, then that would count as 1 year.
Okay.
And then when you file 2026, then that would give you 2 years.
Okay.
If you're W-2, you still need 2 years of tax returns, but you can change jobs. You just have to show consistent employment. Now, if you do change jobs, they just do not want to see a gap of more than 30 days. So if you want to take a week off because you know you're getting a new job, you want to celebrate, that's fine. We understand we're all human. So that's cool, but no more than 30 days. Okay. All right, and then as far as other documents you're going to need, for my W-2 people, we're going to need 30 days of pay stubs. For everyone, we're going to need 2 months of bank statements. Of course, your photo ID, social security card, and then they do verify your employment, usually through like the verification employment that you have set up through HR. Most people have like that 1-800 number now. Once you get your pre-approval letter, it's typically good for about 60 to 90 days. You do want to upload your bank statements and your pay stubs as they are printed or generated with your loan officer during that time, just so that everything stays current. And then common mistakes, just switching jobs in the middle of the process, opening new accounts or making large purchases before closing. So just know that once you are pre-approved and you are serious about looking, they are going to watch your transactions. They want to know where your money's coming from and also where you're spending it to make sure that you can afford that monthly mortgage payment. So we can definitely talk more about that if you have specific questions. I know we have like Cash App and Zelle and all of those things them days, so they do look at that, especially if they are reoccurring. But yeah, everyone's situation is different. Any questions on documentation or what you need to get started?
I won't really say hi, by the way. If you hear my baby, he's in the background. I'm so sorry. I won't really say documentation, but for the tracking period, is that like a 2 month tracking period, a 6 month of like trying to keep a clean record?
So typically we say 2 months. But if you apply, say you apply today and your lease is not up for a couple of months, you kind of want to plan accordingly. So maybe you can make a purchase, in the next 30 days, but then after that, you want to tighten everything up and just know that, that 60 days leading up until they are going to look at everything very closely. Does that answer your question? Okay. Don't worry about the babies, girl. We on summer break, so I don't know if you was in here earlier when mine came in here, like so it's fine. All right, so once you get your pre-approval letter, these are the major loan types that we typically work with. So conventional loans are the ones that you hear most about. Traditionally, they are 20% down. Nowadays, very few people, especially first time buyers, have 20% to put down. So, that's not even like a realistic expectation. So we do have 3% and even some down, 5% down conventional programs. Um, After that, we look at FHA. FHA is one of the most common for our first time buyers because you can go down to a 580 credit score. With an FHA, the down payment is 3.5%. Do we have any veterans with us this evening? No? All right. Well, of course, they get 100% financing. So if you know anybody, tell them take advantage of their benefits. And then last but not least, we have USDA loans. Those are for more rural areas. So I like to think of it like this. When you go in the grocery store, USDA is usually like, your steaks and farms and things like that. So it's kind of like farmland. For us here in Central Virginia, we have Dinwiddie, Powhatan, Amelia, Goochland, but we will not have like USDA loans in Richmond, in northern Chesterfield, in very populated areas. So with USDA, it is 100% financing. So that's what makes it attractive to certain people, but it can only be used in certain areas. The rest of these loans, you can use them um, anywhere you like. And then for us here in Virginia, we do have the Virginia Housing Program. That is what a lot of our first time buyers use. They will do a second loan for your down payment, which will make it where you don't have to necessarily pay anything at closing, but then you would have two mortgages. That second one might be for like $40 or $50 or something like that because it's just 3%. But that does make it more affordable for you to get into the home in the immediate time frame. The second option with Virginia Housing is the grant option. Obviously, with this one, the income restrictions are a little bit tighter just because it's a grant, so they're giving you that money and you do not have to pay it back. With the grant program, they cover everything except for 1%. So it can vary depending on your loan. If you do an FHA loan, then your grant is going to be 2.5%, and then you would just have the other 1%. If you do a conventional 3% loan, then your grant would be for 2%, and you would be responsible for the other 1%.
Mhm.
The reason they still make you typically do that 1% is they want to make sure that you have some skin in the game. They want to make sure that you're committed, when you pay for things, you value them more, you treat them better, and hopefully it will encourage you to, stay in the home. Any questions on the loan types? All right.
A quick question.
Yes.
Does do the FHA loans or the Virginia housing loans come with any special terms like you have to stay in the home at X amount of years?
Good question. So here's the answer.
Mhm.
Technically, no, there's not a certain time frame. For these loans to take advantage of the buyer program, first time buyer programs, things like that, it does have to be considered a primary residence, which means that yes, you are going to live in it. If you live in it for 1 year and you hit the lottery, hold on. If you live in it 1 year, you know what I'm saying, you hit the lottery and then you want to buy something else, you can rent that home out. You have lived in it as your primary residence. And because life be lifing, for the better, for the good, for the not so good, if certain situations change and you want to move out of that home, that is your right to do so.
Thank you.
There are some programs. Very few of them left. We had some in the city a while ago where if they were giving you money, you had to stay in there for a certain time period, but they will typically let you know if that is a requirement for that program. But for these programs, no certain time frame. Okay. All right, once you get pre-approved, this is kind of the process and what to expect. So once you get pre-approved, that's when we actually physically go out house shopping. When we go out house shopping, we do have to set appointments. We do have to have confirmation before we can just go in these houses. I know on TV they don't show you all of that, but yeah, so we schedule our appointments, we wait for a confirmation, and then we go, tour the home. Once you find something you like, that's when we submit an offer. Now, when we submit an offer, one of three things can happen. Your offer can be accepted, great. Congratulations, you're under contract. If you offer $100,000 under asking price, they will probably flat out just reject your offer, and
Mhm.
that's it. In some cases, you might offer 10,000 under asking price, so hey, they'll have a conversation and then we will negotiate. And if we can come to terms, then sure, we will go under contract, and if not, we will keep searching.
Mhm.
Once you find something and you are under contract, we go ahead and schedule your home inspection. That is when the home inspector comes out. They look at everything from your roof, plumbing, electrical, your HVAC. They look at your appliances all the way down to your crawl space, and they give you a full report on the condition of the home. Now, once we have that report, we can ask the seller, we can negotiate again. So if there are defects, major things that come up, we can ask the seller to either repair the issue or we can ask them for some sort of credit towards the issue. Full disclosure, even when we do new construction, they always find something. That's the home inspector's job to find something. So he's going to find something while he's out there.
Mhm.
But I will say this. That doesn't mean that we're going to ask for every single thing on that inspection report. Um, I personally, I like to look at safety and structural issues first and foremost. And then obviously, if it's something that you can't live with, absolutely, we'll have the conversation about it. But I know one of the things that comes up very often on the back of the stove, there's supposed to be a bracket that keeps the stove attached to the wall. In the event that you're cooking on Thanksgiving and you put the turkey, you don't want the whole stove to lean forward. Most people don't know that. Most people don't have that bracket on your stove. Most people not gonna set a whole turkey on the stove. You know what I'm saying? So we're not gonna nitpick over everything, but clearly, if we have cracks in the foundation, if we have active leaks, things like that, we are absolutely gonna ask for those to be addressed. And then we order the appraisal. The appraisal reassesses the property value. So if we are under contract for $300,000, then the house cannot appraise for 250. The bank is not going to give you more than what the house is worth. If the house appraises for 310, congratulations, you have $10,000 of instant equity. And equity is going to be the difference between your home's value, and then what you owe on the home. That in between number that you can eventually cash out, that is your equity. Over time, let me just show you. Appraised value, purchase price, well, no, appraised value, loan value. Over time, the home value will increase, and as you make your mortgage payments, your loan value will decrease, your loan amount will decrease, and that equity grows. So that's the power of real estate. During that time, your loan officer will still be asking for documentation. Sometimes they ask for things more than one time. It just depends. Everything has to be like in a PDF. It has to be just right for the underwriter. So just bear with your loan officer. They are trying to do everything they can to get it approved into the closing table. And they may ask for documentation up until the last minute. Fun fact, I do like to tell people that prior to closing, they do have to check your credit and verify your employment at least 72 hours prior to closing. So, they're making sure everything stays right and tight up until that point. So just keep that in mind. That's how a lot of people get caught up because they be doing stuff while they under contract thinking nobody gonna know. And then they do that last pull and well, then things look different. So just be mindful of that. And then, of course, your final walkthrough. We typically do the final walkthrough on closing day. We go through the property, make sure that they have removed all of their personal items, anything that we have asked to be addressed during the inspection period. We make sure that it has been addressed at that point. And then you just make sure that the home is in the condition that you are willing to receive it on closing day. Then we typically head to the closing table. We're at closing for usually about an hour, just signing all of your documents. Um, but the good news is you do get the keys at closing. So congratulations when you leave the closing table. You are officially a homeowner. Any questions about the process? All right. We're typically all of this typically happens between 30 and 45 days. So we're usually under contract for about 30 to 45 days. how long it takes you to find a home up until that point, that depends on how quickly you want to move and all of those things. All right, so let's get into some of the fun things. These are some of the programs that we use to make housing more affordable. I will say one thing about me, um, and I'm just gonna say it because it's getting late. Anyway, I really don't come from much. So when I bought my first house, I had to use these programs. I had to find them, I had to research them. Then I got divorced and I had to buy my first house all over again. And so then I had to find the programs all over again. So I am a big believer in taking advantage of what's out there. Because people are really using these things to make home ownership, achievable. So
Mm.
some of the things that we have currently, the Henrico Affordable Housing Program. Anybody interested in Henrico?
I
Maybe.
mean,
You said depending on what they offer.
yes, it depends. So yeah.
Okay. So with the Henrico Affordable Housing Program, basically, they have set aside, I think, like $60 million over the course of 5 years that they'll be allocating to affordable housing. So I know like the crossings at Marbury has been my favorite affordable housing community. They're basically giving you $100,000 towards your home purchase over in that community. They also have the new single family community. If you have seen it out there in Verona on New Market Road, I think it's like River Walk East or something like that. That one they are doing through the Maggie Walker Land Trust. So that's another program that you can use to, take advantage of affordable housing. Um, and we can certainly talk about the different ones that you're more interested in. Obviously, different programs have different qualifications, so we have to see which ones, best suit you. And then for builder incentives, if you're thinking about new construction, anybody thinking about new construction? Okay, there we go. We got one. So, if we're thinking about new construction, a lot of the builders are offering incentives, things like they might do $10,000 or they might pay all of your closing cost assistance. Some of them have discounted interest rates. I have one builder right now that has like free washer, dryer, refrigerator, and blinds for your whole house. So they just come up with different incentives when they're building. They have 10 houses that they need to sell and they're competing with other builders. So this is why they do the different incentives. We can use them towards closing costs, purchase price, buying your interest rate down. So basically, it's just we look at your overall picture and see where those funds would best serve you. And then we have FHLB, which is the Federal Home Loan Bank Grants. That one is seasonal. So we get that one a few times a year. Basically, if you are a nurse, teacher, community service partners, all of those things. You can get up to $20,000 with FHLB. And then if you're a first time buyer, you can get up to 15,000 with that. And that is a grant. So that is money that you do not have to pay back. You can use it toward your down payment, closing costs, however you see fit. And fun fact, you can stack some of these. So it just depends on what we're doing. And a nice fun fact, the Henrico Affordable Housing Program, all of their homes are new construction.
Mm.
They have townhomes in the East End and the West End, and then they just are doing the first single family community. There will be other single family communities, but they just rolled out this program maybe like 2 years ago. So this is the first single family. And then Virginia Housing. We already kind of discussed Virginia housing with the grant funds or the second loan option. And then another fun fact, Virginia housing is truly the Virginia housing that you see when you go across the bridge to go downtown right there on, what is that, Belvedere. So that is their main building. They are headquartered right here in Richmond, Virginia. So it is convenient because we can literally pick up the phone and get a real person on the other end when we're trying to push your loan through so we can, get to our closing date, whatever the case may be. And then I had to add this one in there, so excuse me because it's in the bottom, but this is a new one. The Better Housing Coalition, they have a class, they have grant funds also. They have a class that you take. It is 4 sessions, 2 hours each for a total of 8 hours. You can take it in person, one day, or I just found out they have it online. But when you complete that class, you do have to have a pre-approval letter to, of course, show that you're serious about buying a home. But they do give you $1,000 that you can use towards your home journey. It's really nice that they do that because you can use that for your deposit, your inspection, your appraisal, like just some of the out-of-pocket expenses because we have the programs that help with down payment. We have programs that can help with closing costs. We can ask the seller to pay for closing costs, but your out-of-pocket expenses, you have to have funds for those. So we'll go over, but just to recap, rather, your out-of-pocket expenses. Typically, your deposit is about $1,000. Your inspection is about $400 to $500, depending on the size of the home. And your appraisal is about $600. So out of pocket, you are looking at about 2,000, maybe $2,100. And that's just for deposit, inspection, and appraisal. So that's not including your down payment or closing costs. And the $1,000 that Better Housing Coalition gives you, you can use towards those. I do send a email when we are done here. It'll include the slides. I'll be sure to include the link to the Better Housing Coalition information in case anybody wants to sign up for the class. It is free. It is very informative. Also, Virginia Housing has a class. That one is free and informative in person or online as well. If you qualify for the Virginia Housing Program, you are required to take their class, and the certificate is good for 2 years. So if you do go and you get the information, you do have the certificate and you can hold it for 2 years. Any questions on these programs? Okay. Let me tell you, there are a lot more other programs out there. These are truly just some of the ones that we use most frequently in our area. But when you put in your loan application, the loan partners that I work with, because not everyone does this, but the loan partners that I work with, they will look and see based on your debt to income ratio and your credit score and your income, what other programs you may qualify for. And of course, it's after you submit your application only because they have to see exactly how much you make and your credit score to kind of fit you with the programs. So yes, that's what we took. We just went over affordable housing programs. All right, so sorry we got double in there. All right, and then we can stack the programs. So that's my favorite. So we can actually use the builder incentives, and then we can use the Henrico affordable housing program. So we can like use more than one. Um, One of my favorite stories, and this is one of my clients, she closed in December of 2025. She used the Henrico Affordable Housing Program over there in the crossings at Marbury. So Henrico Housing gave her $100,000 towards her home purchase.
Mhm.
And then Stylecraft is the builder over there. At the time, they were giving away $20,000 closing cost assistance. And she did go to, this was when the class first came out. She was one of the first people that went to the class, the Better Housing Coalition class, and got $1,000 check. So she received a total of $121,000 in grant funds that she does not, well, technically it was 101,000 in grant funds that she does not have to pay back, and then another $20,000 in seller concessions that she does not have to pay back. So she's really happy in her house. That is the power of some of these programs and just stacking and just knowing what works for you. I will say that initially, when she started her home search, she did want to be in Chesterfield. But for $100,000, we might just move cross town. It's not that far, when you think about it. But to each his own, just the one that out there. All right, and then how we help, what we do. So if you're ready now, we can get you pre-approved and start your process immediately. We will schedule a one-on-one call afterwards. I like to meet with my people. Quite frankly, I just want to make sure that you have reasonable expectations before we even start the process. I don't want to be taking you out and, it's not going to work. So we do a one-on-one call to get started. And then, we'll start looking at houses. If you are 3 months or more out, that's fine. I would still encourage you to fill out the application. And here's why. Most of my people, when they fill out the application, there's one or two things that they either need to do in order to get approved, or one or two things that will boost their credit score. Well, now they can qualify for the first time home buyer programs because they might have been right at that 600 or that 610. And if we tweak one or two things, now you're at that 620, 640, you get those home buyer programs. So I would encourage you to fill out your application as soon as possible, just because if you wait until the last minute and we need to do those things, we don't have time to do those things. And then you're stuck renewing your lease for a whole nother year. So get started now. And then, of course, depending on what you need, we have credit repair. The loan officers will also help guide you as well. And then, of course, when you're ready to start looking, I'm happy to take you out, show you, houses that hopefully meet what you're looking for, and find you, a home that you can be happy in, comfortable in, for a while. So that's the goal. So let me see. If you want to book a call, here's my number, my email. Again, I'll follow up with all of you all tomorrow. Because I'm not going to be calling y'all now because it's getting late. But I'll be following up with you tomorrow. I can call you, I can text you if you don't answer. If you have, before I wrap up, anybody have any questions? Okay.
I do.
Um,
Of you, I'm so sorry. But I did do a pre-qualification with a lender. But before I did the approval, houses in Miami is a total different, sale price. A purchase price is totally different from anywhere else. So I did not want to go through with the pre-approval until I can get the purchasing power that I want. So just start a number. I got approved for, I think, like 230, and then when I added my wife, I think it went to 350. But houses in Florida is like 500 and and more. So it's very more costly. Before I did the pre-approval, do you think that I should like work on my credit more, or I just didn't want to go through and actually get pre-approved for a certain amount, and then 3 months down the line, I can't, like, how can I say it? I can't reapply to get a higher amount.
So First and foremost, 350 here will go a whole lot further. You can probably find something that you're looking for, depending on what you're looking for. That is, a nice budget for a first time home. Um, if you are looking to get more, I would encourage you to have a conversation with one of my loan partners, and they can kind of tell you if it's certain things that you need to pay down, whatever the case may be. When you do your application, we start with a soft pull. My partners start with a soft pull, so it doesn't impact your credit, and it's just a free conversation to let you know where you are. And then you can kind of decide from there. But I think it depends on how soon y'all are looking to move, and what you're looking for. I'd be happy to, learn more about that and see if we can find you something in that 350 range because, you probably can find something.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, here is all of my information. So call or text me. Um, and I am always happy to answer questions. Like I said, I'll be following up with each of you all. And I will be sending out the email tomorrow, with the slides and the links for the classes. So other than that, are you saying something? Oh, you talk. Okay. All right. Other than that, we're all good. Oh, and just a quick reminder, we're here the first Wednesday of each month. So if you know anybody else that's thinking about purchasing a home, tell them to register, log on, and get the information. So other than that, I hope y'all have a great evening, and I look forward to speaking with each of you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Good night.
good night.
Bye.